All right, here we go. This is going to be a fun end of the year show and a Merry Christmas show. We have two really great people as our guests for the Stramaglio Show. We have Greg Welchans, the CEO President of Distribution Management, and we have Katie Doyle, who is the AVP of a fabulous, fabulous charity, the City of Hope. And we're honored to have both of you on the show. So thank you for joining us. I'm going to start off with a little bit of probing into the world of Greg Welchans. So, Greg, can you tell the audience, how did you get to distribution management? Tell us a little bit more about Greg and how you journeyed to distribution management.
I started selling office. Well, I actually started working in a warehouse of an office products company in Dallas, Texas, a company called Miller Business Systems, back in 1981. That's when I started working for them. I was 17, picking and packing post-it notes, and I ended up. I went to college there, and when I graduated, they asked me if I wanted to sell office supplies. I was working in the warehouse at the time in Dallas. It was about 110, and my first question was, "Is that an inside job?" And my former boss still remembers me asking that question. But I carried a bag after that. I in North Texas, knocked on doors and asked who bought pens and pencils, and that's kind of how I got into the business. I worked for several of the aggregators over the years: Corporate Express, Office Depot, U.S. Office Products, and I ended up at a company called ECI, which I know all of us uh, here know, Mike. And I came to this company in 2001 and tried to sell them some software. And they didn't buy anything from me, but they hired me instead. And so now, 25 years later, I work for what is now known as Distribution Management here in St. Louis.
Incredible. I didn't even know you worked for ECI. How long ago was that?
So I was there at the beginning of ECI when it was actually online office supplies. Paula Jagman was one of the first people to sell office supplies online in the late 90s. And it was called Online Office Supplies. And then she was joined by her former boss at a online provider, a guy named John Sidgmore, who ended up being vice chair of WorldCom after, well, he actually became chair after Bernie Ebbers kind of got put in jail. But John Sidgmore and Paula reformatted the company into ECI, E-commerce Industries, and we started acquiring front end office products websites, and then started aggregating the back ends, the DDMSs, the e-automates, and people like that. And I was head of business development for them back in the late 90s. So
Wow. Quite a background. Well, I want to come back to you on some of that in a second, but let's introduce our new friend, Katie Doyle. And as I mentioned, she is AVP, which is basically all about philanthropy. And so, if you don't mind, I'm going to turn it over to you, Katie. Can you introduce yourself and let us know what you're doing at the City of Hope?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's such an honor to be here with both of you. And I have an amazing job. I have the hardest job and the best job I've ever had. That's what I would say, because City of Hope's mission is really to eradicate cancer and diabetes, two very difficult and challenging diseases. And my role is as Associate Vice President of Corporate Philanthropy. Our team actually has the pleasure of working with companies and individuals like you, Mike and Greg, to make an impact on the lives of those that are impacted by cancer and diabetes. And I think work philanthropy is all about working together to solve really challenging problems like cancer and diabetes. So I say that because it was so interesting to hear Greg's and Mike, knowing your background and the legacy you've had in this industry. My career, I started out in consumer product goods, and I worked for Mars for almost 14 years in sales and marketing roles. And really, when I thought about the impact and what I liked about those roles, was giving back and what those businesses stood for. And that's what led me to philanthropy and nonprofit. And, I follow my heart, and that's what led me to City of Hope. And so it's just truly a pleasure to do this work, but it's hard. So we need to work together to solve these problems.
Well, believe me, it's our honor to have both of you, and especially you, if you don't mind my suggesting it, Katie, because cancer is a very personal thing. And it's a noble cause, and certainly the mission is frankly infinite, right? There's doesn't seem to be an end, unfortunately, anytime soon. Hopefully I'm wrong, but it's a personal thing. And my wife has had breast cancer twice. She's had bone marrow transplants and leukemia, and those are just so emotionally and physically damaging, for families to go through that. So, from my perspective, having you and distribution management partnering up to join us at ECS and bring that campaign, to kill cancer, we can't have a better mission or a better tournament. So I'm proud of what you do. We're honored by what City of Hope does. In fact, I actually went not too far down the road. I saw your building here, so I look forward to meeting some of the people here. So another question about the City of Hope: when you talk about killing cancer, how far have we come? From 10 years ago or 5 years ago in our effort to do that.
Yeah, it's such a great question. And, many people might not know this, but City of Hope has been helping people with serious illnesses for 110 years with tuberculosis. And so I think that the research that City of Hope has done and is there's significant advances in that time frame. And so, a lot of people don't know, but City of Hope develops synthetic human insulin. So they also do a lot of research and advancements in diabetes. And they really have the technology behind the most widely used cancer drugs today. So there's significant advancements. I think one of the things that you also talk about is precision medicine and survivorship. So early detection and screening is critical because many times that you can find out in advance. So there's so many advances that are happening and survivorship. And so there's a lot to that question, Mike. And so I think that's part of this partnership and learning more of what's happening up at City of Hope, because there are significant things happening on the advancement side.
Well, that's encouraging for all of us, every human being on the planet. That's good news. And we probably need to do a better job of communicating, like through vehicles like this, and get the word out to everyone and anyone we can. And I'm going to come back to Greg, and then I have another question for you, Katie, along the lines of technology that you mentioned. So, Greg, how did you get connected with the City of Hope?
The industry we're in, and I'm going to include the copier industry as part of office products, right? Things related to the office, uh, more on the segment of pens and pencils and furniture and those categories of product, adopted City of Hope as a philanthropy over 40 years ago. And it was a group of manufacturers that and dealers that decided, we need to give back to the industry and give back to the people of the industry. And they chose City of Hope as the vehicle of choice to do that. And so now for over 40 years, this industry has contributed about $300 million to the City of Hope through those years. We actually have a wing that we sponsored at City of Hope that has made an impact on thousands and thousands of lives. So by being part of the industry, I got involved When I was a kid and I got invited to the City of Hope Gala, which happens every September, it was kind of like I made it. And because the people that were being honored were kind of my idols in the industry. It was people that I only saw from afar and admired what they had done in the business and wanted to be like them. So now for 30 years, I've been actively involved with City of Hope and raising money and raising awareness and connecting people to, through our industry, um, City of Hope, both on with philanthropy and from a getting access to the hospital and treatment. And that's part of our mission also in the industry, is to be a connection point for people to get treated and to get healed through City of Hope.
So, how long did you say you've been affiliated? 30 years?
30 years, yes, sir.
And raised $300 million. The industry's raised.
Our industry has the 10 years prior to me being involved, that's when it started. But in 40 years, we've raised close to 300 million. I think this year we're going to put them over the top.
Absolutely incredible. Our industry is truly one of the most generous industries I've ever seen anywhere on the planet. And you mentioned, Greg, this year we're going to put them over the top. So what's the goal for City of Hope? What is that top?
Well, I want to get us over 300 million. I think it's going to take between 10 and 15 million dollars to do that this year. And so that's why we wanted to be a part of ECS, and we wanted to get the word out to the copier segment of the industry, to hopefully kind of galvanize this part of the industry into something that other parts have been involved in for years and have kind of chosen as their choice for philanthropy, right? So that's part of the goal for this year. That's why they wanted me to be part of and lead this year's campaign, was to try to get more involvement from the BTA channel, from the copier channel, and that's kind of the goal of getting the awareness at ECS.
Well, we're going to do everything in our power to make sure that the City of Hope and Distribution Management, that partnership is resonating with all of our attendees and frankly, all the people that don't attend, but, that join us one way or another via, the digital world. We want to make sure that everybody is very aware. And by the way, if I can add for the audience, I can't think of two better ambassadors for the City of Hope than you two. So, and Greg, having you drive this whole mission, we're looking forward to having you at ECS and doing what you do best, which is to encourage and inspire people to contribute. And of course, little commercial, the golf tournament happens to be fun as well. So make sure that you join us for that. There's some good information coming your way. So, Katie, I'm given the fact that cancer has touched almost every family that I know and certainly touched ours. And given the fact that we're in the software business and the whole world is now artificial intelligence, how does City of Hope view or incorporate new technologies into accelerating cures for cancer?
It's fascinating, and there's probably more we can share. I think that might be a good follow up from this segment, as we're to learn more about that. But they're even looking at using artificial intelligence to do surgeries in certain instances. So how do you get, access is a really important part of our mission. In that, how do you give the best cancer care, compassionate care, as well as access to clinical trials? And so part of that is, they're looking at artificial intelligence to do robotic surgeries. Like, so there's quite amazing advancements across the board. I mean, that's really groundbreaking, transformational, kind of work if you think about it in that regard. I think the other thing is there's so much advanced in just scanning technology and radiation oncology, and really doing precision medicine to the type of cancer and the best care for that individual patient. So there's a lot happening in technology, where the patient they can do a lot of that imaging, and the patient doesn't have to go anywhere. I think that's one of the things that's unique about City of Hope is we only do cancer on the care side. It's just specialty cancer. And so I think there's a lot happening on the technology side. I'm not an expert on that, but I do feel like we can provide information, like you said, Mike, on being a conduit to bring education and awareness to the latest in some of that technology that is happening real time at City of Hope. But it's a great question, and I think there's so much synergy with this industry and in bringing that information to the forefront. So happy to provide that to, as people are learning more about what City of Hope is doing.
Well, you know what? We'll have to do another episode just on that part of it because it's fascinating, as you said. And this is our business. And ironically enough, probably about a month ago, I was invited to a seminar, and it was a robotic seminar. And they provided a video for all of us of a doctor in Japan doing brain surgery on someone in Denmark. I mean, holy cow. I mean, unbelievable. So, all right, we're going to twist back around on Greg. So, Greg, a little bit more personal stuff, if you don't mind. Who was, if you can answer this, I would appreciate it. Who was your greatest mentor that got you to where you are today?
I've had a lot of them. Some great men in my life over the years, and some that have really changed the path of my life. But I'd say when I started in this business, I played college football, and I was getting recruited by a university, and one of the selling points of this university was they attached you to a business person that kind of took you around the town and showed you the benefits of being in this area, why you should move to this area, the business benefits, if you will. And his name was Jim Miller. And that's the first company I worked for was Miller Business Systems. And he was in the office products world. He was a big personality and a very positive person. His word was terrific. If you asked him how he was, he used the word terrific, and he would slap you on the back, and sometimes it really hurt because he was a big man. But he, really taught me the benefits of treating people correctly, about culture in the business, about teamwork, and and he was to start a career in that space with a man like that. He even wrote a book. It's called The Corporate Coach. I still have it. Back in the 1980s, and I still use the philosophies today in our business, um, and so I would say Jim was probably the biggest personality and biggest influence on me on how I continue to work today and how I continue to approach my business.
Well, I certainly know that name. Unfortunately, I never had the pleasure to meet him, but I think his reputation precedes him. So while we have you, you are one of the most respected executives, CEOs in our industry, and you represent certainly Jim extraordinarily well because what you were mentioning about him is exactly how we see you, and very positive, very upbeat. Um, you're changing distribution. You've been changing distribution management. Coming out of 25 and going into 26, how are you feeling about the industry in its totality?
Yeah, as we all know, the printed page is not um, expanding rapidly, if you will. It's there's some there's some slowdown in the business. I see this part of the industry. For us personally, we're still growing, and it's because of some of the things that we have offered to the channel that have allowed us to continue to grow. That doesn't mean it's accretive to the overall business, right, of our industry. Um, you know, uh, our manufacturers have to continue to innovate. They have to continue to do things like use artificial intelligence in their business, whether it's to create new ways of doing print, of managing networks. Um, there's opportunity for us in this space to continue to grow and to continue expanding categories. There's some things that we've tried over the last couple of years to get into the industry, like barcoding. Our dealers, sometimes have walked past that because they haven't had a specialty in that. Barcoding, large format is another area that both categories are growing as compared to the printed page in A3 and A4, right? So I'm hopeful that we continue to make those turns in our industry, and we continue to keep everybody healthy and float all boats, Mike. Right, to your words, right?
Yep, you got it. Float all boats. If we can all get wrapped around that, imagine what we can achieve, right? Whether it's curing cancer or just helping people grow their business. And Greg, and I'm going to come back to Katie because I have another question about mentorship and so on. But for the young people in our industry coming into 26, what message do you want to deliver for our next generation of leaders?
This has been an industry that has been good to a lot of people, and from both a business perspective and a personal friendship perspective. You can go to an ECS, and I can see the people from TD Synnex or from Ingram or from other competitors, and we're friendly, right? And we've made lifelong friends and people like that. Um, I, I I just think that there's still a lot of opportunity for that to happen. And as the industry ages, there are some people aging out of this business. There's new opportunity for the younger generation. There's new technologies that are going to enable their success into the future. And I would hope that they'd be encouraged to continue to stick in the business and to help grow the business through the years, because it will for them also be the same as it's been for people like us, Mike, right?
Along those lines, and forgive me, Katie, I'm going to come right back to you. ECS has become, I think, a kind of an interesting premier event. And to be candid with you, I only really started it because I couldn't go anywhere with COVID. so so I said, hey, let's try this. And it's become a very nice, I think, and very effective event. The one thing we're going to be doing at ECS this year, or next year, I should say, we have this whole breakaway team, all next gen leaders. And it's up to 25 members right now. And I have to tell you, I'm so excited about what they're going to be doing at ECS. Whole different thought process. These are young people who grew up on mobile devices. I mean, the way they think is just incredibly different. So along those lines, and here's the segue, we will be having some robotics companies there, and we're going to be talking about how they can help our industry. So with that, Katie, I want to ask you another question on the mission of City of Hope. So in 26, is there a mission statement or something that our fans should know about City of Hope?
Absolutely. Thank you for the question. So City of Hope's mission is simple. It's to make hope a reality for all affected by cancer and diabetes. And I think the words matter, because all matters, no matter where you are and where you live, what zip code, of all of those types of things. That availability and access is really important. And so that's really the mission. And a cancer. Greg knows this. When typically when we're in an audience like this, we'll say, raise your hand if you know someone impacted by cancer and diabetes. And I haven't been in a room where not every hand goes up. And so it's a purpose and an urgency because of that. You mentioned, we all have somebody that we know. And so coming together, I think, and bringing hope. A cancer journey is scary. There's a lot of fear in that. But coming together as a community and City of Hope surrounding with compassionate care and knowing there's solutions and clinical trials and, walking that journey, you're never alone. So I think that's what is a really amazing thing about this industry. And I loved what you said, Mike, around describing Greg, the most respected CEO. He is the National Business Products Industry Group Spirit of Life honoree this year. He's not saying that, but the reason, the things, he's so well deserving, because we really look at it in visionary leadership within his industry, alignment with City of Hope's mission and really advancing health and wellness for everyone. Bringing hope for everyone. I mean, he's been involved for 30 years.
Yep.
Still
Incredible.
an advocate. I mean, think about that. And then, really it's the other piece of this legacy of hope and helping shape the future, for generations to come. I mean, I just wanted to make sure that that was included in, congratulating Greg and for his work within this industry and within his philanthropic. And it's really inspiring. So thank you, Greg.
Well, I'm really glad you brought that up, and I share your enthusiasm and congratulations for Greg. We're going to make sure we put this in the video and in the marketing material. That is it's richly deserved. I can't think of anybody off the top of my head that can do that. I mean, incredible. Greg, if you don't mind, I'm gonna ask you two questions as long we're coming down on time. And um, the one question, you mentioned a story to me about where you were born and the very special hat that you wear.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, I have the hat. This is the hat. Does it show backwards on, or does it show
No,
forwards?
it's perfect.
It's okay. So I get I wear that hat a lot, and I will wear it at golf tournaments, and people often stop me and say, "Okay, explain that."
Yep.
And don't have to say anything else, but explain that. And so I'm from a town called Marble Falls, and when you're in Marble Falls and you play football, you get a letter jacket that has a big MF on it, and uh, when you wear that high school letter jacket, when you go to play college football up to college, uh, you pick up a nickname for life, and it's not Marble Falls. So uh, that is so every time I see the guys that I and alumni with, that's kind of my nickname, and it's a term of endearment if anybody ever hears me called that. But we've actually started using this in City of Hope, and Katie is a proud MFer, and there's a slogan that's around the world of cancer that goes F cancer, if you will, and with our industry and with the City of Hope, we're going to MF cancer, and so that's kind of one of our slogans for the year. So thanks for asking.
Yeah, I love the story, and I want to be an MFer too. So I'll look
Your
forward.
hat's on the way. Your
Yeah.
hat's on the way.
The one final question that I was going to pose for you, if you have a message of hope, um, or anything on your mind that you would like to share with our audience as we close this out, what would you share?
It's such a great question. And I think what I would share is really one of a personal message. The statistics around a cancer diagnosis are astounding. It's the second leading cause of death. Cancer rates in women are now 50% higher, or 82% higher, lower than 50. So it's happening earlier for women. That is something that really struck home with me. And 1 in 2 men will get cancer, 1 in 3 women will get cancer in their lifetime. So it is personal. And what I learned this year, given those stats around it's happening earlier for women, my mom and my grandma had breast cancer. So what I learned is I personally have a 42% higher chance in my lifetime of getting breast cancer.
Mm.
And the message of hope is the data and knowing that now, because there are things that I can do. There's screening, there's genetic testing, there's even medication based on all of the things that City of Hope has been doing that will inform and reduce that risk for me personally. So it's so personal, and but I think that that's the hope. I mentioned it earlier, early detection, screening. We sometimes forget to take care of ourselves. The message around knowledge, data, and, taking those steps to do those screening and having that information. I think there's a lot of hope there, because the chance for me is I have this risk, but I can do something to have that, to never have a cancer diagnosis. That's really hopeful for me.
Well, it's a great message for all of us. Pay attention to your own health. Do the screenings, do what you're supposed to do, and protect yourself as best you can. So that's a great message. And I also like what you said, all cancers, all people. And ironically enough, our mission statement is float all boats. So it's all about all. And it's impressive what you do. We're honored that you're on this show, and we're going to spread the word with Greg, beginning with this podcast, followed by ECS. And Greg, we're going to do everything in our power to make sure we break that record for you. And my last question, which is really important as we end this Christmas holiday podcast, what's your favorite Frank Sinatra song? So, Greg?
Me first. Okay. Well, it's Moonlight in Vermont. And it was on his Come Fly With Me album in 1958. My dad had it, and my dad was the singer, and he would sing along on that song. And so it's long been a favorite of mine.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny how Sinatra songs connect you to people, usually your family, mother, father. So, Katie, your favorite Sinatra song?
I love this question, but given the time of year, I must go with Jingle Bells from the Jolly Christmas album. Of course, my all-time classic favorite is New York, New York, which will also go into the New Year
That's hard.
theme. So,
That's a hard one not to like. So I'd like to wish the audience a very happy holiday season, happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, and of course, a healthy and prosperous New Year's holiday and New Year, especially on the healthy side, Katie. And now that we have City of Hope in our back pocket, we're going to be doing our level best to make sure people are more healthy than ever before. And for the audience, I'm wearing my favorite Christmas shirt. It's Yippee Ki-Yo, Ki-Yo, from the Nakatomi Die Hard series. So I'm filming this actually from the Nakatomi Plaza. No, it's just crazy. So anyway, to Greg and Katie, you are two really wonderful, and I mean that sincerely, very gracious human beings. And so I thank you for the honor to have you on the show, and we'll look forward to speaking with you again soon. And let's get that message out there, everyone. Merry Christmas and happy holidays. Thanks, everybody.